is as if God created the devil and gave him jaws.
All right. See this one right here? 2024 car accident. But you know what? I can do better. See this one right here? Surgery scar, 2017. But I can even beat that. You see this? Film school, 2019. It broke my higher ability. And with that, welcome to Bomb Squad Matinee. I am your host for this evening, Tim M. Sullivan, and with me I have...
Well, if we're talking about scars, there's my back surgery scar. I don't know how well it's showing up on camera.
Yeah, I think he's got us all beat on that one.
Hi, I'm Tanner Richard Kraft.
Hello, I'm Cody Sweezo, and yes, I do have a bigger boat.
Motherfucker! Fucking beat me to it. I don't have another bit, other than, we're all gonna die. I'm Joseph Vernick.
Truly. And we have a special guest coming on for the first time. Introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, my name is Paul Hibbard, and I have no scars, but I got this sweet tattoo sleeve right here.
Let's go.
Yes, yes. But I appreciate you guys having me on, and I'm excited to talk about the film.
Hell yeah. Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do in these parts?
Sure, I am a filmmaker. I was primarily a filmmaker for years and years, and I use one of the films that I made a few years ago, which Tim actually worked on. Mm-hmm. And it was called Some Visitors, and I used it to start a film festival in St. Louis called Hysteria Fest. This was in 2022, and that was just such a fun experience that I have just continued doing it. The festival just grows every year, and it's to the point where now I think I like to think of myself more as a fest director than even a filmmaker. I'll still make films sometimes, but I'm more of a hobbyist now when it comes to making film, and running a film festival has almost like given me the satisfaction that being a filmmaker has did not give me. So.
Yeah. I always love attending Hysteria Fest. There's always a lot of great stuff there. Something that's a point of pride to me is I've gone to at least one event each year that it's been a thing, and there's always been at least one film that has my name in it so far, which is something that's, I think, pretty neat.
Which one this year? Are you, is it Andy's movie? Did you work on that one this year?
No, so I was sound on Open the Door, Stephen Tronichek's movie, and I also
okay, sure.
I did post work on Kurt Abishan's movie, The Quarry.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so I'm excited those are in the festival. I'm excited to see all the other stuff that's there, and I'm also excited to talk about the movie we're talking about today. And in case you couldn't tell by these terrible burn lines, it's summer. It's really fucking hot, and so we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of one of the all-time great summer horror pictures, Steven Spielberg's Jaws. And before we get into that, we're gonna do our little opening warm-up question, which is, what is your favorite creature feature? We'll start with Cody.
Start with me.
That's right.
Does Macamee count?
You
I
motherfucker! How did I not see that coming?
It is a creature. It is a creature. Nah, I mean, like everyone knows it's gonna be King Kong for me, but you know, I'm not gonna say King Kong. You know what? I'm gonna say 1961's Konga. That is a rip-off movie of King Kong, except it takes place in London. That is the only difference as far as I'm aware of. They got sued to oblivion. That's my answer. Back to you, Tim.
Hell yeah, Konga.
Oh my god, it's real.
You think I just bullshitted that? No.
Honestly,
Okay.
Konga?
I own
That's
it.
so lazy.
I own it.
You called it Konga?
Yeah, and they got sued. It's great.
They referenced King Kong on the poster. Are they stupid?
Very.
Hell
Incredible.
yeah, we love to see it. Tanner, favorite creature feature?
So, if we're going strictly by the question of what I would actually answer here, my favorite creature feature would be Bride of Frankenstein. However,
Okay.
we're covering Bride of Frankenstein in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So, a spoiler alert, we're covering that soon. That should be fun. So instead of saying that, I'm going to pick a different movie, which is obviously how can I choose anything but Congo 1995? No, I'm kidding. Honestly, this was tough because my first instinct was to say Bride of Frankenstein, but since I'm going to go really in depth on that in a few weeks, I didn't want to say that. So I wound up like just doing the classic panic Google search creature feature move. And, you know, I found some great answers like Aliens vs. Predator Requiem, Reign of Fire, Godzilla 1998. All movies that are well loved and remembered. The Thing 2011.
Well,
but
so that one's at least
just
kind of okay.
Yeah, that one's at least kind of okay. But I ultimately decided to go with one that is the classic Tanner move of borderline cheating with my answer, which is the reason why my answer for this question is the 2017 classic film, The Shape of Water.
Oh, no, that counts. That counts.
It's borderline cheating, I think, because it's not. Obviously it's a creature feature. It's a feature with a creature in it, but it's not.
It's sexy creature from the Black Lagoon. It's okay.
Boy, is it ever. Sally Hawkins is the most beautiful woman alive. Not to like do that, but Jesus Christ, when I saw Bring Her Back a few weeks ago, I remember at several points being like, wow, Sally Hawkins is beautiful. And then the movie betrayed me. Anyway, they betrayed that trust that they put in me by casting Sally Hawkins. But The Shape of Water, speaking of Sally Hawkins, maybe the best performance of her career. I still think she should have won Best Actress that year at the Oscars. Not that it matters, but that was my first time watching it with friends, and I really wanted her to win. Doug Jones does fantastic work as the creature. I can only dream that someone gives him, probably Del Toro gives him a chance like that again. The cast all around is incredible. Michael Shannon's incredible. I love the production design. But more than anything, it's a movie that just like makes me sob, like violently sob at the end. One of my all-time favorite theater going experiences was randomly discovering that The Shape of Water was playing in 8 US cities in limited release. And one of those cities happened to be St. Louis, Missouri. So I randomly hopped on a bus because I wasn't driving at the time. So I randomly hopped on a bus to go to the Tivoli, rest in peace. So I could watch The Shape of Water. And watching The Shape of Water, that movie in particular, and again, rest in peace, that gorgeous main room that the Tivoli has with like the wonderful architectural design on the walls and those balconies added something to the experience to me for Shape of Water in particular, given that it was a period piece that felt reflective of the architecture I was seeing around me. Was amazing. I fucking love The Shape of Water. And that's my answer. Back to you, Tim.
Hell yeah, good pick. I haven't rewatched The Shape of Water since the theater, but yeah, that's a fantastic movie. Del Toro always pumping up great stuff.
I'm so excited for his Frankenstein.
Yeah.
I think we all are.
All right.
True.
Joe, favorite creature feature.
All right, so I'm honestly kind of surprised Tanner didn't take it. But he did bring it up during his little spiel there. Surprisingly, he brought this one up that I didn't really think about until we started recording, but I might as well throw it in as an honorable mention. James Gunn's Slither is my honorable mention. Surprisingly, that it was not my initial pick. My other initial pick was a little movie from 2006 that's a meme. You might have heard of it. It's called Snakes on a Plane. I shit you not. That was almost like my pick. But no, my legitimate pick, I'm going to be the boomer this week because my pick is Creature from the Black Lagoon. Like the ultimate creature feature to the point where it's literally in the title. The movie that inspired The Shape of Water, all like to an insane degree. Like compare the creature in both movies; they look similar. I think it's Tanner called it. It's like Shape of Water, just a sexier creature from the Black Lagoon. I'd argue that the creature from the Black Lagoon is sexy in a very weird way.
He can get it.
What do you mean by that?
No, I'm backing up.
We're gonna analyze this. This is a therapy session now.
Oh boy. No, we're not getting into that.
Do you want to fuck the creature from the Black Lagoon? Yes.
Yes.
Or no?
Next question.
I am not, and I have never been a member of the Communist Party.
Stupid. Sorry, Joe.
No, you're good. It's a fun little adventure horror movie. What wasn't it? Wasn't it the basis for the Ocean Man music video, Tanner?
Yes.
Okay.
As far as I know, the Creature from the Black Lagoon Ocean Man music video on YouTube is unofficial. I don't know if that's officially by Ween or not.
Oh, okay. I just know that it exists.
This is only something I care about.
I mean, there's really not much else to say about that movie. It's iconic for a reason. Like, it's a simple movie with maybe the most iconic, one of the most iconic monster designs ever. It's a classic. If you've never seen it, absolutely check it out, because it's one of the best Universal monster movies. And also, if you ever get the chance to see it in 3D and in a theater, fucking do it, because it's very fun in 3D. I got to do that last year when we showed it at the Alamo Draft House. I got to come in before we opened and watched it in 3D.
Hell yeah.
So that's my pick. Back to you, Tim.
It's
Real quick, Tim. I just want to interject with something. First off, Tim called it the Shape of Water a sexier creature from the Black Lagoon. I want to properly credit him with that, not me.
Oh, okay. That's
2,
my fault.
That IMDb list I was telling you guys about before recording of the 110 best creature features that had some random Australian movie above Jaws. Anyway, 107 on that list for some inexplicable reason is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and I think that's fucking hilarious. I just wanted to share that with you guys. That's apparently a creature feature. And it's one spot above Alien Romulus. Back to you, Tim. Sorry, I just wanted everyone to know that.
I think there were giant monsters in that. I don't know. I haven't seen it since the theater.
There's a dragon at the end, I guess.
There's a dragon.
We'll let it slide. Creature from the Black Lagoon is a great classic. It's my future father-in-law's favorite horror movie. Anytime I'm talking to him about whatever horror movies I most recently watched, he's just like, it's not as good as The Creature. Nothing but respect there. Paul, favorite creature feature?
I would say, well, first of all, I'll talk about Creature of the Black Lagoon. The fact that it has those like sexual undertones, if I remember correctly, was intentional because they were doing the way that they were swimming to kind of simulate sex to get around the code at the time. Because it was like one of the Universal films that came out so late that it actually was part of the code system. So anybody who gets any sort of like sexual innuendo or sexual attractiveness from that movie, I think it is to a degree intended. So
I'm validated. Got it.
Yeah, I didn't know that was post code. That's interesting.
Yeah,
it was one of the after the other ones.
Yeah, it was late. Was it 40s? It might have been all the way into the 40s.
50s.
Oh, was it that late? Okay.
Let me check. You say your answer. I'm gonna check this real quick.
But anyways, I mean, if we weren't talking about Jaws, I would say Jaws, but just to have an excuse to talk about another movie, I'm just gonna say Aliens. I think what Cameron did with that film, the way he switched genres from horror to action, it wasn't just like the film itself, the way he like moved the characters and moved Ripley into somewhat of a damsel in distress. I mean, she definitely had agency and power in the first one to a degree, but to make her just like this fighting force, he had to essentially do the same thing with the creatures too. And the way that they were still this like terrifying opposing force, but it wasn't so much like a slasher film in space. It was more of an opposing force as like an action figure. I thought it was really awesome how he did that and how he kind of redefined what the creature meant in that film. So that would be, it's kind of a basic pick, but I love Cameron and I love that movie.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Aliens is fantastic. Love that. Good picks all around. I do have...
interject real quick.
Go ahead.
Creature from the Black Lagoon is 1954.
Okay.
Wow.
That is
I thought that was early 40s for some reason.
No, it was really late.
So
I was thinking late 30s, but yeah.
I thought it was
all the other ones were
time
30s.
the other classic Universal monster movies.
Yeah.
No, it was the last one.
Gotcha.
Classic Universal monsters. Think of that initial. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
All right, Eric Strickland.
Shut up! Stop telling people where I'm stealing my jokes from.
Yeah, good picks all around. I do have a couple honorable mentions. The first one, I have to give a shout out to The Meg, not because it's a good movie, but because it's my cat's namesake. So I had to get that one in there. And also, you know, since we're talking about Jaws, I think it's worth mentioning probably the best Jaws quote-unquote imitator, which is Jordan Peele's Nope. Which, yeah, that's
a good answer.
That is a great answer.
That's a fantastic creature feature. One of the few horror movies in recent years that like genuinely felt scary to me. Because you know I'm battle hardened at this point. But that movie's fucking out there.
Is it as good of a creature feature as Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings? That's really the
I would argue better.
Check the list.
Personally.
You know what? Nope's not even on this list, and it was updated 3 months ago, so...
You gotta be fucking kidding me, dude.
The scientists better check their hypotenuses. But yeah, my I guess number one pick, and it's similar to Paul's answer. It's the first Alien, because you know, it's sort of this thing of the first two Alien movies are sort of there's sort of a, you know, they're both so good, but in very different ways, and I think the first one just speaks to me slightly more, because it's more horror oriented, and I think like everything about the xenomorph is fucking scary. Like, it's this thing that jumps on your face and impregnates you, and if you try and cut it off, it has acid blood, and then chest burster comes out, you fucking die, and then it just turns into a giant
met a girl that
fucking
did
thing.
that to me once.
This happened to my buddy Eric. Yeah, no, the xenomorph is just like so perfectly designed to be this horrifying creature, and it's, you know, it's a great horror movie, and just one of the like great sci-fi movies and one of the great creature features. So yeah, that's my pick, Alien. And you know what else is a pretty good pick?
Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Shut the fuck. Paul said it would be his choice if not for it being the movie discussion, and that is Jaws.
Slow ahead. I can go slow ahead. Come on down and chump some of this shit. You're gonna need a bigger boat.
So, let's just get right into it. What are our thoughts on Steven Spielberg's Jaws? We'll start with Tan.
Jaws! Wow, what is there to say about Jaws that hasn't been said already? Good night, everyone. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah!
Jaws is fucking awesome. It, you know, not just for horror reasons, but for the, you know, Jaws is widely credited, along with Star Wars, for inventing the concept of the summer blockbuster, which is, I've come to realize might be my favorite thing to go to the movies for, is the, you know, the big shit that you love seeing on the big screen. Not that I also don't love the tiny shit. I fucking love watching small scale stuff too. But the stuff that I love in the theaters is just shoveling popcorn in my mouth as like crazy things happen on screen. And to this day, Jaws is filled with a lot of crazy things happening on screen, but it also understands another key aspect of blockbusters that I think a lot of modern blockbusters maybe not get right. Your characters don't necessarily have to have depth, though I would say the characters in Jaws have plenty of that. But they do have to be like interesting.
Yeah.
And that's easier said than done, obviously. It's so easy to go, oh, make the characters interesting. If it was that easy, fucking, we wouldn't have the problem right now. But
I'm just gonna hit the make character interesting button on my script.
Well, with AI, Tim, we can have
that.
No. Kidding, I hate AI. I got to see Jaws in the theater earlier this year for the first time, which was awesome. I got to see it at the Alamo Drafthouse. And a very cool thing, I kind of wanted to bring this up. A very cool thing happened at the Alamo Drafthouse, which was a first for me. This is the first time something like this has ever happened to me at a movie theater. We're watching Jaws, and we're about halfway through the movie, and the scene where Brody and Quint go to the boat that was attacked by the shark after they think they already got the shark, and you see the dead body. When the dead body jump scare happened, some chick, she was either directly to the right of me or directly behind me. I can't tell. I know that she had to have been close to me, because I don't think I've heard a louder shriek in my goddamn life. She literally shrieked. She didn't go, ah! She didn't go, ah! She went, ah! Like, loud ass pitch, so much so that even though I know the jump scare was jumping, I just about jumped out of my goddamn seat. That scared, she made that 20 times scarier. And I've never been to I've heard people go, ah! I've seen people jump, I've seen people go, ah! I ain't never heard a shriek before. That was a new one. And it shows the effectiveness of the jump scare. I think that someone reacted to it that way. All the performances are fantastic. Roy Schneider, Robert Shaw, Richard Dreyfuss are all incredible. The entire cast up and down is incredible. It's amazing screenplay. And even though, again, I kind of see this more as a blockbuster movie first before I see it as a horror movie. Obviously, it is a horror movie. But, you know, my brain sees it as blockbuster first. It follows a fundamental principle in horror that I think is very important, which is that the scariest thing a movie can show you is fucking nothing, because what your own brain cooks up is infinitely more terrifying than whatever the movie could show you, which is why the fact that, I mean, it's a famous thing now, the shark didn't fucking work. The shark was annoying to work with.
Yeah.
Spielberg and the writers had to constantly rewrite scenes because the shark wasn't fucking working. He had to block scenes differently because the shark wasn't fucking working. And because of that, it's infinitely more terrifying. When you finally do get a good look at the shark, it's fucking nuts and makes that, you know, that big, you're gonna need a bigger boat line hit that much harder, because you're kind of like thinking the same thing, like, oh shit, they do need a bigger boat. You know, just those little tastes you get of it is all the more terrifying. But it also, you know, plays into the good blockbusterness of it all by showing you the shark at points and letting the shark get killed. That's why it's the perfect blend of horror and blockbuster. You know, some movies are best as just horror movies. Some movies are better as blockbuster horror movies. You know, and Nope, it's a big moment when you finally see what that fucking alien looks like, which is crazy cool. And in Jaws, it's crazy cool when you finally see the shark. Meanwhile, a movie like, you know, The Blair Witch Project, it works better and it is more terrifying when you never see the witch, which is why that sequel from like 10 years ago sucks, because they show the witch. You shouldn't show the fucking witch in a Blair Witch movie. Not the point. Not the point. Just one of my grievances on record. Yeah, I'm kind of running on empty here, but Jaws is an amazing movie that blends horror and blockbuster perfectly. Amazing performances all around, a really tight script, which is incredible considering, again, how much of it sort of had to be rewritten on the fly. And it's the movie that launched Spielberg into a superstar director, and why he is one of the greatest filmmakers of all time, because when you made Jaws, I think everyone agrees you basically get to do whatever the fuck you want forever after that. Back to you, Tim.
Pretty much. Yeah, good stuff all around. You were talking about how that jump scare of the head coming out of the boat made the girl shriek. You would be making Spielberg so happy telling him that story, because like in the first test screening, like there was a bunch of stuff that was working, getting these big reactions that he loved, but like the way they initially did that scene just like got no reaction, and so he says he felt greedy, and he had to go and rework it to make it work. So he spent $3,000 of his own money to make that scene
out
work.
of pocket to reshoot that.
And so that girl behind you screaming at that is 50 years later, that $3,000 still working. So that's awesome. Joe, thoughts on Jaws?
All right, so I'm gonna come out of the shadows just for a little bit because I gotta show the big boy off. Hold on.
Put your pants on, Jesus, Joe.
Shut the fuck up. I'm showing off I'm showing the popcorn bucket. Look
Why
at
does
that
his
thing.
penis look like that?
Thank you, Tanner. Very cool. Yeah, I'm making it talk too, asshole. But yeah, no, this was the popcorn bucket that we were giving away at the Alamo Draft House when we were doing the 50th anniversary. I got myself one because I'm lucky enough to work with managers closely. So I got myself the popcorn bucket.
Hell yeah.
My thoughts on the movie are not going to be as nuanced, unfortunately, because, yeah, what the fuck really is there to say about this movie? It's Jaws. It's one of the greatest movies ever made. It's a classic. It's like the original Star Wars and Citizen Kane, where it's like everything that needs to be said about this movie has already been fucking said. Dude, is there much else really to say about this movie? I honestly don't think so. And because it's like every time you watch it, it's like, yeah, everything that you've heard about this movie, everything that's been said about this movie, all fucking true. It is a classic for a reason. And honestly, it's like you forget you're even watching a movie half the time because you're just that into the story. You feel like you're there with them a lot of the time. Fucking what? It's like, I will say this: Jaws is a fascinating movie to me, where it's like, it's typically classified as a horror movie. But if someone really did not want to classify it as a horror movie, I could see it. Because there's points where it feels like an adventure movie. There's points where it feels like an action movie, where it's in particular, the fucking end of that movie feels like an action movie. It mostly feels like an adventure movie for me personally. But yeah, no, if you want to classify this as whatever genre, as long as as long as it fucking makes sense, I totally get it. If you classify this as sci-fi, what drugs are you on, man? It's a big
shark. We don't know how it got that big.
There's science and there's fiction. There you
go. I mean, there is science.
There's literally
in the
a
movie.
marine biologist, man. I need you to lock in, buddy. The facts are simple.
All right, fine. People can call this a science fiction movie, and it makes sense. But yeah, Jesus Christ, I love this movie. I think anyone that does not rate this movie a 5 out of 5 is lying to themselves and should feel ashamed of themselves. Like, that's how fucking good this movie is. I mean, I have some childhood memories of this movie that I want to delve into at some point, because that's how I watched this movie. I watched it when I was 10. But I think I'll save that for general discussion. I'm just gonna leave it at movie fucking great. Back to you, Tim.
Hell yeah, good stuff. Paul, thoughts on Jaws?
Well, like everyone else, I love the movie, and I assume everyone else, not to guess for people we haven't gotten to yet, but I love the film. I love that. You know, when I was watching this time, I think the messaging that a lot of people get from this film is don't show the creature, don't, wait till later. And what I think the bigger message is just to know how to be able to roll with your script, how they were talking about doing rewrites and not be so married to what you think your film is supposed to be, which I will see a lot in especially like lower budget films where people just have the script and they're stuck to it and they're scared. Maybe they're just not talented enough to be able to go away from it and still maintain the story. And then they hold on to it. And I think that, what Spielberg did great, if it was intended for you to see the shark right away, I still think it would have been just as good of a movie. But since he's such a talented filmmaker, he knew how to take the components of it not working and still make it work. And maybe it ended up being better in the long run, but he was just somebody who really knew how to roll with the ball. And I think this time watching it, I was thinking about, where does this film place in film history? And you can say that it did two things. It created the summer blockbuster, which we talked about, and it also created this wave of imitation films like Orca and Piranha and Piranha 2, speaking of James Cameron, Piranha 2. And it went down that direction. But what I thought was really interesting this time watching is it kind of felt like it fit into that wave of post-Watergate questioning the government and authority films that were coming out at the time, and not just like, because you look at something like Taxi Driver, which was about a city being failed by the government. One man has to take it into his own hands, and obviously it goes the direction it goes into. But that film was that movie was very full of cynicism and kind of an anti-authoritative sort of meaning to it. I feel like Spielberg's a much more optimistic filmmaker. So to him, it's like the government has failed us. But what is going to happen is these different people from different walks of life are going to come together. You got the kind of like second form of authority, but he can't do anything without the person above him okaying it. He's also kind of the surrogate for the audience. And then you have the marine biologist, the kind of nerdy guy, and then you got the blue collar guy, Quint, who's going to come in there with his roughness, and they're all going to come together in almost like this very idealistic way and save the day from the government. And when I think of that movie, especially if you think of like cinematic language, like with the split, I forgot how many split diopter shots he used.
Yeah.
When I think of split diopter, I think either De Palma, but the other movie I really think of with split diopter is All the President's Men. And that was also in that wave. So it seems like even Spielberg himself was trying to make something much more aligned with what his counterparts were doing at the time than what ended up coming from it, the summer blockbuster or the creature feature stuff. And I feel like his, Jaws was like a combination of the post-Watergate feeling, and then I think he took a lot of influence from Hitchcock, specifically Birds, and he kind of connected those two together and came up with this movie. And in a way, he accidentally created the summer blockbuster, which I know he wasn't super happy about. And then he immediately tried to because he considered himself a serious filmmaker, and then he immediately tries to subvert it with Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where he wants to take the story but instead do a more personal, toned down, almost like naturalistic film with that. So it's weird that he did create the summer blockbuster, but he's always kind of been at battle with it also. And I don't think he necessarily meant to. I really thought he was doing his version of what his buddies were doing, capturing the time, and he just created a movement. But it's an incredible movie. It's so good that he's able to create things he didn't mean to, create movements he didn't mean to, and it still works, I think, as he intended it to also.
Hell yeah. Good stuff. All right, Cody, thoughts on Jaws?
Oh boy. I've been thinking for the last hour how to I wanted to have a metaphor to explain how I feel and how to really get my point across. But I'm just gonna be as blunt as possible, and if this is my last episode, they took me out back, guys. I'm just letting you know that right here, right now. The movie absolutely peaks at the first big beach scene. That is my opinion. It is because I watched it. This is my first time watching it too, by the way. It is one of the most well shot, well executed, most suspenseful, probably just one of the best scenes in cinema history. The way that you already know that your main lead's already paranoid, because they have the 20 minutes of the setup beforehand, which is fine. A little slow setup, a little slow burn, because it is a thriller movie. It's not really horror, it's not adventure, it's thriller. That's the main genre for this. So that you're already on edge, you already know there's going to be a shark, but you don't know where it is. And it's always panning out to the water. There's multiple people, but you don't know who it's going to be. It keeps cutting back and forth. The guy gets in the way. It's you. You know something bad's going to happen. You just have that feeling, but you don't know when, you don't know where. And then fucking shark comes in and it takes the fucking kid in the raft. It is that shot out in the back. Oh my god, it's such a beautiful shot. I'm so glad they scrapped that fucking original shot where they were going to show more detail. No, the far away, that giant gush of blood as it just goes down. Everyone's fucking panicking. Everyone's going, and of course the classic zoom, one of the most iconic shots in film history. Not even a question there. And then just to end the whole scene with the mother trying to figure out where her child is, and that fucking raft slowly drifting up with a little puddle of blood. It's such an amazing scene, and it hooks you for the rest of the movie. That's why I think it's so genius, because it makes you follow along this movie throughout the rest of the adventure. You're invested. You're hooked. I did not care for the rest of the movie. I was kind of bored, honestly. I'm gonna be real with you. I don't think there was ever I already hear Joe. I'm sorry, Joe. Again, I'll be taking
I
that back.
I had to cough, but I am very disappointed in you, Mr. Cody.
I
All
knew.
right, guys, I'm trying to figure out how to remove him from everything right now.
Yep, I already see the group chats disappearing in front of me. Like, I just don't. Bad movie? No, absolutely not. It's a good movie. It's a great movie, even. But I just don't think it ever reaches that same high as that initial scene. I think that scene was so, like, legendary that the rest of the movie didn't have to be legendary as well. It just had to be good. And it was good. I don't know, knowing that this is one of the greatest films of all time, I was ready to, like, have my expectations blown away. And I never really got there. Like, the second big beach scene, I just didn't really hit the same. A lot of the other scenes in the middle there, they kind of felt like they dragged. It's actually a lot longer of a movie than I thought it was going to be. It's not, like, terribly long. It's only, like, 2 hours, 12 minutes. But, like, it felt long. It felt longer than I thought it was. And the boat scene's a great scene on its own. It also kind of feels, I don't know, it feels a little isolated from the movie. It doesn't feel as much of a thrill. It does feel like Spielberg, dude. When the fucking, like, music starts chiming, like when it starts getting all hopeful and shit, I felt some Spielberg there. This feels like a great framework for what Spielberg did. Made a lot of crazier, more ambitious, a lot better movies. I just don't think Jaws is, like, the greatest thing that's ever happened. You know, it is very important. You know, it a technical marvel. You know, despite the fact that shark didn't work half the time, it looks really good when it does. You know, it set the groundwork for Spielberg, and it set the groundwork for summer blockbusters. You can't really complain about that. I just don't feel the need to run to my car and go to the nearest theater and buy my overpriced popcorn bucket to go watch the movie in the big theater.
Don't you worry, I'll be kidnapping you.
Luckily, got a good distance.
Cody, let me make the suggestion. Actually, try seeing it in a theater. I think that might actually help your
You
case.
think so?
In my experience, it's if I kind of felt okay on a movie, if it's like a big movie like this, sometimes seeing it in a theater might help.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I think you should take that suggestion. Try seeing it in a.
Of course. I definitely am going to give this movie
I didn't
another...
like 2001: A Space Odyssey until I watched it in theaters.
Yeah.
I mean, this was like
that was one of my all-time favorites. Like,
yeah, and that makes. And I mean, yeah, it would probably make sense for this movie too, because it was like the original blockbuster, you know. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it comes down to, like, you know, I'm watching this movie 50 years later. Like, I feel like I'm gonna be so removed from what made this movie great. It's like, you know, when it was brand new and fresh, there wasn't really anything like it, and it was amazing because of it. And I still appreciate the shit out of it. I just feel like I'm too far removed to really get into it as much as it originally, like, I don't really know how more than this. Basically, I'll definitely give the movie another go, because, you know, it's still entertaining. I still think it's a good movie. It's still a classic. I just don't think it's a masterpiece. And those will be my final words before my death. So back to you, Tim.
Fair enough. I mean, I guess it is sort of a thing of, you know, watching it 50 years later, you kind of get that Seinfeld isn't funny effect that we always talk about, where, you know, we've seen all of the things that have referenced it in the 50 years since. But you know, fair enough, I guess. Good takes all around. I do want to address something that is confusing to me, because whenever I hear people talking about this movie, they always talk about how there's this really cool dolly zoom shot, and, like, I watched it today. There's not a dolly zoom shot in that movie. There's not a dolly zoom shot in that movie. There's the dolly shot in this movie.
Yes, sir!
It is the shot.
Anytime somebody, like any filmmaker, is like, I want to do a dolly zoom shot in this part of the movie, the first thing the person they're talking to is thinking of is this shot from Jaws. 100%. It's probably the best one that's ever been done. Don't know if it can ever be topped.
Did you see that?
Fantastic shot, fantastic cinematography across the board, just fantastic movie in general. This is probably my favorite Spielberg. And probably part of that is just because I tend to gravitate towards horror stuff, and this is maybe the most horror he's done. And it's just such a very well done horror movie. Like, I do think it's, worth addressing. This movie has done some, like, actual real world harm as far as, like, perception of sharks and overfishing and all that. Like, that is worth being said. But it is also very respectable that this movie was so powerful that it was able to instill that fear of the water. I just think that's fascinating on a horror filmmaker level. And, like, I was watching some behind the scenes stuff earlier, and what's funny is, like, for this week's slot, I was kind of debating whether we should do Jaws or Psycho, and Jaws ended up being the one people wanted to talk about more. But it was funny, they kept comparing Psycho in the behind the scenes stuff, because like they were trying to achieve some similar effects to Psycho. Like that fear of the water kind of comes in because there's the fear of being murdered in the shower that Psycho kind of instilled. And also just the iconic, very simple but very powerful kind of leitmotif of the killer in action. Like, apparently when John Williams first did the score in front of Spielberg, just the two notes, like, Spielberg just kind of laughed and thought he was joking at first. He's like, no, this is Jaws' theme. And then he just kept playing it over and over until Spielberg's like, holy shit, yes. And yeah, 100%. It's just one of the most, like, iconic horror villain kind of leitmotif score tracks. It's so iconic that, like, you see it pop up in other pieces of media to just sort of give that idea that, like, something dangerous is coming. Simple but powerful. And John Williams, always fucking incredible. 2 years before Star Wars, he still was given one of the best scores ever made. Incredible stuff. Incredible cast. Just an all-around good movie, and I'll definitely have some more things to say once we get into general discussion, but first we're going to take a quick ad break. We'll be right back.
We know all about you, Chief. You don't go in the water at all, do you?
Some bad hat, Harry.
Welcome back from that ad break. Time for another ad. MoviePalette.com. It's a website that contains these little art pieces that have thin lines of color representing the dominant color of each frame of a movie. Got one right up there for the film Mandy. Tandra's got one for the film Punch Drunk Love. You can get one of your own for any movie you want. Get Jaws. You could get any other Steven Spielberg movie or any other shark movie. You could get one for Orca. Just go to MoviePalette.com. Use the promo code SQUAD15 to save 15% on your order. Thanks for watching. Back to the show. Alright, we're gonna get into general discussion. I'll start. So, like I said, I was watching some of the, like, behind the scenes stuff because I picked up the 4K for this recording, and they have, like, a bunch of bonus features on it, including a few making of documentaries. I only watched one. It was a 1995 documentary called The Making of Jaws. There are so many documentaries on this movie. Like, literally, the director of the one I watched is making the one that's coming out July 11th for the 50th anniversary. There's a lot. Sometimes
you have a niche.
There's a lot of stuff on this movie. But in the one that I was watching, they kind of touched on how they shot the beach stuff at Martha's Vineyard. Martha's Vineyard was sort of the set for Amity, and what was funny about that was, like, I remembered as a kid when I would visit my family in Massachusetts, we would sometimes go to Martha's Vineyard, and we would also hit up the beach a lot. So I had that thought, was my childhood beach the beach from Jaws? So I texted my mom about that, and it was a different beach. It was a beach called...
Damn!
It was a beach called Old Silver. But she did give me some interesting information. Apparently, a girl she went to high school with was one of the nurses in the hospital scene. So that's cool.
You guys know about that conspiracy theory that a random extra in this movie was a Jane Doe that was unsolved for decades?
Don't think I've heard
No,
that
I've
one.
never heard of this.
Okay, so hold on. I need to Google this to remind myself of the details. But there was a woman named Ruth Marie Terry, who was at the time an unidentified murder victim. Her nickname as a Jane Doe was the Lady of the Dunes, that was found on July 26, 1974 in Provincetown, Massachusetts, which is the New England area, relatively in range of where Jaws was filmed. It's actually Martha's Vineyard, which is where Jaws was shot, is about 100 miles south of Provincetown, Massachusetts. So there was speculation that she might have been an extra in the movie because it was filmed between May and October 1974 before her body was found. Joe Hill, the son of Stephen King, brought this lead to the police's attention. They apparently actually followed this lead until it went nowhere.
Like a big old
the
shark.
victim was later identified a few years ago because of DNA profiling. But up until the day that the DNA profile was confirmed, people were convinced that the extra in this movie was a real-life murder victim, mostly because they both wore red bandanas. Like that wasn't a common fashion choice in the mid-70s.
That's funny. Yeah, I know that really happened.
People
with,
are wild. Sorry, Paul.
You're good. That really happened with Scarface. So there was a character in Scarface that ended up going missing, and actually she ended up on an episode of Unsolved Mysteries. And so, anyways, when you were talking about that at first, I was thinking maybe there was like a confusion between the two films.
Whoa, I haven't heard of this one. They still haven't found her.
Yeah, they still haven't found her. And so Scarface was 83. I think she was on an episode of Unsolved Mysteries in like 87. She's the blonde who's talking to Steven Zahn when he's in the car. And I don't know. I always thought that was it just made me think of that. Not to jump to a different movie, but it made me think of that when you were talking about that with Jaws.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's weird.
But back to Jaws, though. I mean, I know you guys were talking about that before, but it was just such a beautiful movie to look at. There's just something about like just like the softness of how it was shot, and I think a lot of that really holds up so well now because we're just like attacked with that sort of like Netflix digital sheen now.
Yeah.
And so to look back at a movie like this, which obviously was shot on film, but was shot a lot during the magic hour too, it is just like such like almost just like a peacefully lulling film that then sets up the violence. And even in the opening scene, that is really the key, I think, to make that scene work, because it's just such a beautiful scene to look at, and then this intense violence is happening on screen.
100%.
It's very big. Paul, I want to be there so bad right now. It is so fucking hot. That ocean breeze must feel so fucking good.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know.
I'm just living up. Because I used to live up in the north next to like the lakes in Michigan. So like I know what it's like to be close and next to the beach. Oh man. Very beautiful, very pretty film. I'll give you that.
Yeah, 100%. One of the things that they kept talking about, obviously Tanner brought up the whole the shark isn't working thing, which like every time they were on the set, Richard Dreyfuss loves talking about how there were all these radio mics, and every 5 minutes you just hear the shark isn't working, the shark isn't working. And eventually one day they heard the shark is working, which is that's I think very funny. But like the production of the film was just so insane. I didn't get a look at like exact number, but I know they surpassed like 159 shoot days. Maybe not quite as crazy as like fucking Apocalypse Now, but pretty close.
Yeah.
And like when they were shooting that scene where the three of them are in the boat singing "Show Me the Way to Go Home, I'm tired and I want to go to bed," like the crew just started sobbing, not because of like how moving the scene one was, but because they wanted to go home. They were tired and wanted to go to bed.
One thing I was thinking about while watching this too was, obviously this movie's about like the failure of government, and it's weird watching it because, I was talking about how it's all these different walks of life. Now you fast forward to today where we had a situation with something like COVID, where it was another failure of life, or failure of a government, and in that situation, I was just trying to imagine a situation where your Brainiac and someone like Quint would work together, because it seems like everything's so divided now that just the fact that people with all the different walks of life all came together to pick up the slack from the government. Because now, if it happened today, would Quint? Quint would probably start a podcast and talk about how there's no shark. It's all just a conspiracy.
On the podcast.
No shark. Jamie, pull up the video of that gorilla. Have you ever done DMT? To me, every podcast is just Joe Rogan, even ours.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, 100%. That was something that I meant to bring up is like, it was originally filmed as like the Watergate movie, and in the last 5 years, it's been the COVID movie.
Yeah.
And like, they could have maybe gone 45 years, people going, well, in real life, they would have handled that better. And then, 2020, 2021, it's like, nope, that's exactly how that would have gone down.
Yeah, because even the mayor's motive isn't really intact with what was going on in Watergate. It was just a thing for him to do to be a corrupt official. But it does very much resemble the corruption that happened with COVID instead. So it is interesting how it's grown into that reading much better.
It kind of reminds me, a lot of people, like, it used to be before 5 years ago, if you'd watch a zombie movie, people would like find it unbelievable. Why would people be so stupid? Nowadays, I'm thinking if the zombie apocalypse would happen, there'd be people like, excuse me, libs, I'm gonna get bit on purpose, see?
Yeah. No, it's...
there would be podcasts about the woke are trying to tell you that zombies are real.
The woke are trying, and the radical woke left are trying to tell you zombies. That's the sentence.
Now during the apocalypse, will we still be running this podcast?
We will be running this podcast even if I have to upload it through a satellite phone.
All right, good to know.
All right, there are no new movies, so today we are once again talking about Jaws.
For the 17th
we can talk about Jaws too.
All dogs go to heaven too.
All Jaws go to heaven.
So I watched All Dogs Go to Heaven 2 for the 39th time in my life.
Actually, speaking of Jaws 2, I don't know if any of you have seen the sequels. How the fuck are there sequels? How the fuck?
I've seen.
I watched that motherfucker blow up.
True story. I've seen Jaws, and I've seen Jaws: The Revenge.
Isn't that the movie about like a shark getting revenge for the first shark in the first movie?
Yeah, no, it's like a spiritual.
That's a movie about Michael Caine buying a vacation home.
Yeah.
I've never seen Jaws: The Revenge, but I have seen the house that it bought me.
And it's fantastic. I love Michael Caine wasn't able to accept his Oscar because he was filming Jaws: The Revenge.
Priorities, man.
Yeah.
Gotta make that dough.
I think 2 at least tries. It's not.
Are you gonna tell me Jaws 3D doesn't try?
Jaws 3D tries. Jaws 3D tries something, and I guess succeeds at whatever it's trying to do. Jaws 2, I think, at least tries to be as good as the first one. It is somebody who's not as good as Spielberg, and he can't pull it off the same way, but at least he's trying. By 3, they're just like, fuck this. We're just going to go in a completely different direction, and we're just going to do our own thing.
And it's amazing.
I want to watch the Jaws movie that attacks Michael J. Fox in Back to the Future 2.
Yeah.
I want to watch that Jaws movie.
Yeah, the shark still looks fake.
That's exactly why I want to watch it.
What number was that? I don't remember. They actually gave it a
8
number.
or something.
I think it was 19.
19.
if I remember
19.
correctly.
Yeah.
There's probably a lot more shark movies than that.
But we never got past Jaws 4.
Never did.
Is Jaws 3D?
When do you think this is inevitably going to get remade? You know what's going to happen.
I'm
Buddy,
surprised
I've been
it is.
filming it for the last 2 years.
Oh,
Cody
no.
plays the shark. The
It's
funny
al-
thing though is that
I've
Cody
been
didn't know.
I'm
I
happy
just
to
filmed him every
announce.
time he started swimming.
it's
Yeah,
already
he
got-
just threw me in a lake, and I told him many times I cannot fucking swim, so I just keep struggling. And he's like, "Good job, good take." And I'm like,
It made the footage look fantastic.
It's
they've
pretty high.
already done the fan remake. They've already done the musical. When are they gonna do the inevitable remake? That is the real question, and I'm assuming it's when Steven Spielberg dies.
Yeah.
So here's the thing with some of these movies, some of these legendary movies, it feels less like there are some movies that I think Hollywood goes, I don't think we can remake that one. We can requel it, or in the case of The Godfather, make a really weird streaming show about it.
As you do.
But it seems to me that there are limits to Hollywood, mostly because they can't seem to figure out how to remake it. Because here's the thing, I really think they would have remade Jaws by now
yeah.
Yeah.
if they were going to.
This
Maybe.
is
Maybe
Star
Spielberg
Wars.
has too much power, but I really like.
Spielberg
They
is
would.
just-
They're never going to remake Star Wars, for
Yeah.
example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
Knock on
Star
wood.
Wars.
But I feel like it's too sacrilegious. But I also feel like you can easily make something that's so tangential to it and sort of be like
Yeah.
in the vein of a remake. You can do something like The Meg, which
Yeah.
obviously isn't Shark, but you can just be or isn't Jaws, but you can essentially be like, it's kind of a remake. There's something about, I guess, the broad subject of an underwater creature or a shark, something
Yeah.
like that you don't necessarily need to do a straight remake, and maybe doing a straight remake would actually hurt it with.
There are so
Sacrilegious.
many shark movies. Like,
Yeah, no, that's what I want to see. There's so many fucking shark movies that I feel like that's the reason why we don't have a remake. Because what's the point? There's
Yeah.
like a billion shark. I think I watched a video. I think James Rolfe put it best where he said you could probably take every shark movie and remake Jaws with every other shark movie, line for line and everything. Because every movie's done it.
Yeah.
It's like I don't even know how you could make another shark movie like Jaws when every shark movie ever made has been made and will be made again.
More than fair. And you know what? I'll say this. The only reason I brought it up because it's like I had one thing or the other that I wanted to attack this week. It was either going to be that, or it was going to be the thing that I've been attacking for the last couple of weeks, which was the volume.
Yeah.
And I think I've attacked the volume enough on this show.
Yeah. Like, if
But you
wanna-
100% know they would make this movie in the volume if they could.
Yeah. But yeah, if you want to know how many shark movies there are out there, go to Tubi.com and search the word shark. It will take a while to finish scrolling.
Yeah.
If you go to Tubi.com, you can watch a movie that is truly one of the greatest creature features of all time. I'm of course talking about The Tingler.
But then,
There's so many shark movies that you can literally name famous celebrities that have fought sharks. Alicia Silverstone's fought sharks. Biz Marquis hit a shark into a fucking fast food oven. Al Roker reported on a Sharknado.
But my favorite thing about what you guys are saying, though, is you're not just going to the Tubi channel. You're actually going to Tubi.com.
Tubi.com. Oh, wait, no, it's
I
not.
did go to Tubi.com the last time I watched the greatest creature feature of all time, which is All Dogs Go to Heaven 2 for the 40th time in my life.
Sorry, I misspoke. It's not Tubi.com. It's Tubi.tv. So it gave me an error message.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. Anytime I open up TV, it auto plays Mac and me. It already knows why I'm there. So it doesn't waste time.
Motherfucker.
It's on there. You can watch it, and you should.
It's like your favorite bartender. It's like, yep, Cody's here. I know what to get him.
Yep, I'm here. Play it.
one thing I would ask also is like what Spielberg, the conflict he had with this movie. I feel like that kind of went throughout his whole career, how he was always stuck between being this blockbuster filmmaker and a series filmmaker. And it really came out in his 1993, which obviously a lot of people consider would be the greatest year ever for a filmmaker, when he did both Schindler's List and Jurassic Park, and to be pulled so much in that direction. I feel like that all kind of started with Jaws. It kind of just set the tone for, the different directions he was going to go in, and it culminated in that year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's why he has such an amazing legacy too.
Yeah, he does.
Both incredible films for very different reasons.
Yeah.
Yo.
And at the same time, there's a video I need to watch. There was like someone made like a video essay on like the production hell of doing like those two films at the same time. I need to watch that. Crazy story.
I want to bring up a post-movie production note, because I wasn't on the King Kong video to bring up
And I missed you.
I missed you too. I wanted to be on it. But I wasn't on there to bring up the fact about the Universal Parks, but I do have a Universal Parks fact about Jaws. But for the tram tour at Universal Studios Hollywood, there used to be the actual orca itself. Like you would pass by like the Jaws section of the tram tour, where it's like you would encounter Jaws himself, like he would attack the tram, but like in the background you could also see the actual ship that they used in the movie, the Orca. And famously, it was an interview that Spielberg did when he's like driving around the Universal lot in a golf cart with a guy, and he's conducting the interview in the golf cart. And he points out like that section of the park / studio, because it's in the same area. And he's like, yeah, the Orca used to be there, and it used to be there for the studio tours. And sometimes I would go into that boat just to kind of, like, if I'm making a movie and I'm, like, really struggling on it, I just go sit in the Orca for a little while as, like, a therapy session. Just, like, get back to my roots kind of thing. But then one day I tried to go back, and I found out that it was gone. And they tore it down because termites had gotten into it. And he's going on about this story, and it leads to maybe the funniest Steven Spielberg quote ever, where it's like, he says, I've tried many times to have them rebuild it because I really think the tourists want to see the Orca. And I'm like, I think you just want the Orca back, Steven. Yeah. I don't think the tourists care. I think they're there to see the shark come out of the water.
Let him have his Orca, damn it.
I think it's just you that cares about the Orca.
Give Steven the Orca.
I want that quote on a T-shirt.
Yeah. One of the stories that they were talking about in the making of documentary that I thought was funny was, I guess, originally the introduction to the hunter character. I'm blanking on his name. He was Quint, yeah. He was originally going to be in a movie theater that was screening Moby Dick, and just hysterically laughing until like everybody is leaving the movie theater, and you can hear him from like outside of the theater, still just laughing hysterically at Moby Dick. And
what is this, Cape Fear?
Apparently, the reason that didn't end up in the movie is because like Steven Spielberg was trying to get the rights to it, which Gregory Peck owned, and he just like didn't want that in the movie because he wasn't proud of the movie. So he's just like, I don't want that in your movie.
More than fair. The intro that they have for Quint in this is far better.
Yeah,
and it's one of those intros. That makes Jaws one of those movies that I wish I had like a neuralizer to just erase, like not just this movie but pop culture in general from my brain, and like re-experience that for the first time, because that's one of those scenes that pop culture has ruined, where it's like I watch it and I'm like, it's still a great scene and it's the best intro in the movie, but man, oh man, every time I see him scratch up that chalkboard, I think I think of the SpongeBob version where it's like the guy scratches the window and he just goes, "You got a bathroom in this place?"
Yeah, no, 100%. It's an incredible intro that like you get his whole deal, and like you can still watch the movie and be like, yeah, he's basically Ahab, but like you don't need to show him watching Moby Dick necessarily.
No, you don't.
Apparently, one of the directors that they had originally approached before Spielberg wanted to make Jaws a whale, and they were just like, absolutely the fuck not.
Yeah, no, that doesn't work. What do you mean? What do you mean you wanted to make it a whale?
You just want to make Moby Dick, all right?
Yeah.
Go make Moby Dick then.
Gregory Peck already did.
He didn't like it.
Do another one.
Yeah, just do another one.
Yeah, we'll do another one. I'm going back in the water.
Is Moby Dick in the public domain?
It has to be.
Let me find out.
That book's
You know how
like...
Alien versus Predator exists, right?
Sure.
I want to know where you're going. No. I want to know where he's going with this.
Let me cook. There should be a Jaws versus another creature movie. And you know what? I nominate the alligator from Crawl. I want Jaws versus Crawl.
No. Jaws versus the alligator from Alligator.
Yes!
Cooking!
Confirmed that Moby Dick is in the public domain. All right, guys.
Alternatively, Jaws versus Moby Dick.
All right, so we're casting Tanner as Ahab, obviously.
I thought you were about to say you're casting me as Moby Dick, and I was about to drive over there to kick your ass.
Oh yeah, he can drive now.
I'm powerful.
That's
Hear me. I have
He
a
drives
car
now?
That's infinitely
Drive now.
That's infinitely more scarier than anything in Jaws.
I just rewatched Tar recently, and I feel like she's terrifying. So how about Jaws versus Lydia Tar?
Yeah,
I think that would be a hell of a movie. Yes.
Lydia Tar's gonna get Jaws canceled.
Personally, I'm down with Jaws versus the Claw. I think it's the rhyme scheme there.
Jaw versus Claw.
Yeah.
Jaws versus Claw, that one's good.
It's as big as a battleship, you know?
All right. Well, with all that said, let's get into our final thoughts. Paul, we'll start with you.
Just to reiterate, I think it is a great film. I think it's a mix between Spielberg wanting to be a blockbuster mainstream filmmaker and wanting to make something very important, at least in his mind. And I think he pulls it off in every way, and I think it's a fantastic film.
Hell yeah. Cody, final thoughts.
My final thoughts are, if you're one of the youngins who went out and watched the 50th anniversary re-release of this movie, you're cool. You're so fucking cool watching an old classic movie like this, because you're not going to get as many crazy classics like this anymore. And I'm glad it got, despite my opinion, I'm glad people went out and saw it and enjoyed it. This is a movie that's you can watch over and over again, and it's going to have many more fans, many new fans, old fans, and that's great. I think it is good.
Hell yeah. Joe, final thoughts.
Man, oh man, I loved this movie when I was 10 years old, which is, man, oh man, I would argue this is maybe the greatest movie ever made when you're 10 years old. A lot of movies are the greatest movie ever made when you're 10 years old. But this is definitely one of them. It's great. It's great as a 29-year-old still. I will watch this every so often, especially during the summer, because it's arguably the ultimate summer movie for a reason, other than the fact that it created the summer blockbuster. It's Jaws. Just, if you haven't fucking seen Jaws, see it. Fucking see it already if you haven't. Cody finally saw it. His opinion's invalid, but he saw it. Movie fucking great. It's a classic for a reason. Go fucking see it. Sorry, Cody. I just wanted to pick on you.
It's okay. I know what's happening after this recording's over.
All right. Hell yeah. Tanner, final thoughts.
Jaws is an amazing movie. It's a great horror movie. It's a great blockbuster. It launched Spielberg into the stratosphere for great reasons. It's an absolutely thrilling, honestly, mile-a-minute ride. And it's a great creature feature. But not as good of a creature feature as Shang-Chi.
All right,
and the
we're
Legend
booting
of the Ten
Tanner
Rings.
from the call. All right. Good stuff all around. My final thoughts. Basically just echoing you guys. This movie's incredible. It's one of the all-time greats. It's one of the best summer blockbusters. It's the original blockbuster, and it got that way for a reason, because it's so well made and, you know, manages to kind of toe the line between just like good craftsmanship and very entertaining popcorn fun. It's still a really fun time 50 years later. It's maybe the most like insane that a movie got rated PG ever. And there's a lot of those in the 70s and 80s, but like apparently all they had to do to get the PG was like cut off a little bit off the end of the shot where the leg falls down with the blood. Like they just had to cut off like a foot of film from that shot and it got the PG, which is nuts by today's standard. Yeah, just an all out excellent film, and that's why we're talking about it 50 years later. And we've barely scratched the surface on this thing. Like I said, there's literally several making of documentaries on this movie. So like if you are fascinated by Jaws, go watch Jaws and then go down the rabbit hole of like Jaws books and documentaries, because there's just so much on this movie. And it's definitely worth watching, definitely worth celebrating, and yeah, good picture. Lot of killing. So with that said, that's gonna do it for this episode of Bomb Squad Matinee. Thank you for everybody who tuned in, and thank you to Paul for coming on to the show.
Sure.
We loved having you on. Would you
come
like
to Hysteria Fest.
Yeah. Tell us about Hysteria Fest details and anything else you want to plug.
Sure. Yeah, it's July 10th through 13th. It's at both Arcadin and Heavy Anchor. Everything Arcadin you need a badge or a ticket for, but everything at Heavy Anchor is free. We have about 70 films playing. A lot of shorts, but we also have features. Every year we focus on a new country or region. This year we're doing Canada. Opening night film is David Cronenberg's Dead Ringers. The Saturday night film is Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2, which is the cult classic. You don't need to see the first one. And we are doing a horror prom before that. So you better come to the horror prom, Tim. It'll be a blast. But then we got a bunch of other movies. We got a movie called Dead Lover, which played at Sundance. That's really good. We have a queer horror film called Haze that hits Shudder in October. But if you live in St. Louis, you can come see it early. And we just have a bunch of other really great festival films. Some of them are premieres. Some of them have played at huge genre festivals like Fantastic Fest and Fantasia and other ones around the world. And it's just a great selection of films, and I'm glad it's becoming popular. Like when it first started, I did this, this programming. Not a lot of people showed up, so it's awesome that we're to this point now where every show is getting close to sold out, and it's going to be a blast.
Yeah,
so I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, if you're in the St. Louis area and you want to watch some cool horror stuff and just genre stuff in general, definitely check out Hysteria Fest in July. It's a lot of fun, a lot of great stuff, a lot of stuff you might not see elsewhere. So it's definitely worth checking out. It's a lot of cool stuff there.
And we got the stuff like the filmmakers panel with like Jackie Kelly, and we got horror trivia. So we just got a bunch of cool stuff going on. Destroy the Brain's doing a live podcast. So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, a lot of cool stuff. And yeah, that's gonna do it for this episode. If you're listening on the audio platforms, be sure to leave us a review, give us a thumbs up, 5 stars. Any feedback is appreciated. If you're watching on YouTube, thanks for watching. Leave a comment below. Let us know, what did you think of Jaws? What's your favorite Steven Spielberg movie? What's your favorite creature feature? Comment below, let us know. And while you're down there, hit the like button if you like the video. Hit the subscribe button if you want to see more. and hit the bell icon to get updates on when we upload stuff. And if you want to support us further, you can donate to our Patreon. $5 tier gets you access to some commentary tracks where we talk as we watch movies. They just did one for Mr. 3000. We might try and get another one done in the coming weeks for something. They're just fun little audio files where we talk over movies that usually aren't good, but are fun.
Comment below if you guys want an audio commentary track from us on Snakes on a Plane.
Yeah!
I want to fucking do Snakes on a Plane.
Bro, just give me a call. We're on it.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Give us suggestions. What do you, the patrons, want to listen to? But you get that with the $5. You get that with the $5 tier, and with the $10 tier, you also get a shout out at the end of the episode. So many thanks to Tanya Kraft. We appreciate your continued patronage.
My mother.
That's right, Tanner's mom. If you'd like to support us in a way that gets you a tangible item, we have a merch store, bombsquadproductions.shop. We got that shirt Cody's wearing right there.
Still feels good.
We got other shirts, we got posters, we got stickers, got all kinds of merch, and we make a little money off of that. You get a physical, tangible thing. It works out for everybody, that's gonna do it for this episode. And be sure to tune in next week for a Joe hosted episode. Joe, what are we talking about next week?
What are we talking about next week? I don't
28
remember.
years later.
28 years later.
Oh, fuck. I need to see that. Shit. I need to get on it. I haven't seen it yet.
Will Joe see the movie in time? Find out next time.
Incredible.
On the Bomb Squad Matinee.
That's peak performance.
Tune in next week for the
that.
Titanium Titan. Sheena Secret. Go watch it. And I'll go watch 28 years later. We'll talk about that next week.
All right. This has been our episode on Jaws. Thank you for tuning in. And remember, you're going to need a bigger boat. Now smile, you son of a...
Just slid my ticket across the table and I said, sorry guys, I gotta see about a girl.